Let's start out with Kathy Rosenfield.
Hi, I'm Kathy Rosenfield. I've been working on behalf of the City of Henderson for the last 16 years. I chair the Henderson Parks and Recreation Department. I've served on the Apple Literacy Committee, which is a program that the mayor started to bring reading into the schools at an early.
No, you good. You good. Yeah.
Reading into the schools at an early age because we believe reading is the core of all learning. I run a small business, a vacation rental, so I'm feeling the pinch of the tourism in the economy. I have a degree in business management, and I've been serving in various quality of life issues in the city of Henderson for a long time, and I'm running for city council so that I can preserve the things that I've worked for up to now and see that vision continue into the future.
Thank you. Brandon Cusick?
Cassett.
Cassett.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I've owned and operated my own business for about 14 years, so that's what I've been doing a lot of lately. I'm a licensed private pilot. I've had my pilot's license a little over 20 years now. I speak fluent Japanese.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Did you want to?
No,
Oh, sorry. We can talk in Japanese if you want.
Yeah, the whole interview in Japanese, actually.
Basically, I'm running because of issues. It's issue based. I think it's actually great that we got so many good candidates running, but I want to get some issues out there and addressed, and try to do some things, and we'll probably get a chance to get into that tonight. I also started a foundation. It's called Skylar CF Foundation. It's involved in helping people with actually various diseases. My two youngest children have cystic fibrosis, so that's kind of what spurred that on. The foundation is doing a lot of great work right now too, so I'm glad to be a part of that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kathleen
Bhutan.
Bhutan.
Kathleen Bhutan. Is that a Steve Sisolak pen that you have?
You know what, as a matter of fact, it is.
I like it. Commissioner was before us last year.
I'm Kathleen Bhutan. I'm running for Henderson City Council Ward 3. I am 42 years old. I was born in Fort Ord, California, and moved to Henderson about 30 years ago. Have been in the area most of my adult life and childhood. I started the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth. We have a drop-in center and a housing program for homeless teenagers. We've served over 10,000 kids in the last 9 years, unduplicated youth, who would otherwise have been on the streets. Under the auspices of the Clark County Health District, which is where I used to work, we started the organization and we lobbied the Nevada legislature and passed what's called the Right to Shelter Law, which allows the kids to get, if they're abused or neglected, most of the kids that we see are physically abused and sexually abused. They can get the same exact services that homeless adults receive. I too have a degree in business management and am continuing to go to UNLV to pursue my MBA.
Thank you. The first question will come from V. Carson.
My first question is where my question is to Kathleen. How do you say your last name again?
Bhutan.
Bhutan. How did you get involved with, or what was the reasoning behind you founding the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth?
Well, I'm very passionate about the cause because I have similar life experiences. I was made a ward of the state when I was an adolescent, but when I was working at the health district, we had a new chief health officer. His name was Dr. Kowalik. My title was Special Projects Coordinator, but I was blessed and fortunate enough to learn that if we couple legislation with public awareness, we can change behaviors. And so I was given all of the infant death and mortality and child prevention initiatives, which would include things like drownings. In this particular case, we had a high teen pregnancy rate in the old West Las Vegas neighborhoods, and as a result of the teen pregnancy rates, we had high infant mortality rates. This goes back a long way. And working with those adolescent moms and moms-to-be, we found many of them were doing what we call couch surfing, so they're at your place one night, my place one night. It was very difficult for them. They couldn't go to traditional shelters like Shade Tree or Safe Nest or Safe House and get the same services that an 18 or 19-year-old would. So I really, because of my passion, I took it to my bosses over there in the District Board of Health and asked them if we could start a community-based coalition. And now we have one of the most successful programs in the country, and as a matter of fact, the American Bar Association is now looking at Nevada's law as model legislation and trying to implement a federal act for kids nationwide.
Okay, my other quick question is because I noticed that you're, very passionate about youth. I'm just curious if you're also passionate about keeping families together and with the economy and everything, a lot of families are getting broken up because of loss of jobs. Youth are becoming homeless. Families are being torn apart, and I just wonder what if you're planning to in the future also implement some programs that will help families so that they can stay together, so they can build themselves and have positive role models available to them, and their families not be split apart just because of homelessness or loss of jobs.
That's a tragedy, and I'm sure you mean it with the city at large as a municipality, but even on a much smaller scale with our organization, we are actually quite conservative. We put a lot of emphasis on family preservation and family reunification, and so we don't necessarily recommend that any child live with an abusive caretaker, but the first thing we do is called a diligent search, where we look for a godparent or a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle to place them. No child belongs on the streets or in a shelter or even a group home for that matter, and I can personally attest to that. And so if I'm elected, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, I mean, my really big passion are human service issues. I'm going to advocate for public safety. I'm going to advocate for veterans' rights. I'm going to advocate for children and senior initiatives. And that's really where I'll put most of my energy.
Thank you. Paul Jackson?
I have a quick sort of follow-up question. In this time of economic downs and everybody's hurting, how are you going to pay for those programs specifically? What taxes are you going to raise, or what other programs are you going to cut to pay for the programs?
That's a very good question. Is that addressed to me?
Mm-hmm.
I would never support raising taxes. We have traditionally in the past used our tax base to pay for those programs, and we've used our development fees and bonds to pay for infrastructure. That's no longer a viable option for any municipality. Of course, with the bond companies and the ratings going down and what have you, although I understand Henderson is still one of the top rated municipalities in the state. It makes me crazy that the city of Boulder City just got a $25 million land lease contract from a solar power provider. Commissioner Sisolak and I were just talking about this recently. Why can't that be the city of Henderson? Or that the city of, there are other ways outside of the gaming industry and the building industry, or by raising taxes, that we can generate revenues for our communities, which would take an entire show in itself to help support and sustain the families that live there.
Do you have a specific suggestion?
I'm
Nobody wants to raise taxes. I've never heard a politician say, I want to raise taxes.
I don't believe that raising taxes or property taxes is a viable solution. And our economy right now is a test to that.
So what is your specific solution? What would you do to raise the money, or what program would you cut to support those programs?
We can cut our budget and continue to cut our budgets, but eventually it's going to affect our quality of life. I am very focused on diversifying our economy by bringing in small business and new industry such as wind and solar power. I'm also very interested in forging out relationships with other elected officials, namely our state representatives and our federal representatives, to make sure that we're privy to some of those earmarks to the tune of millions and millions of dollars that we see some of our other municipalities receive.